We knew the day would come. We have to talk about the Toronto Raptors. Am I a hater? I guess you can judge. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and chat, it's time to lock in. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and don't forget that today's episode, well, thank you actually for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms. We are. Yesterday, we did the Nets season review. The day before, we did our first lottery mock draft. Next week, hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll be doing some draft prospect previews with some dynasty content coming probably next week as well. Not sure exactly what and not sure exactly when, but it will come. It will come. That is a phrase I'm sure you've said before. Let's talk about this Toronto Raptors team. And again, people think that I hate the Raptors or I hate Canada. I don't. It's a joke because people were very critical of me because I said, yeah, I think Evan Mobley's a better player than Scotty Barnes. And, oh, yeah. So you know what? You want to be idiots? I'll hate you. It's a joke. But what I'm about to say about the Raptors today is not a joke. It is all actually what I feel because this team remains incredibly confusing. Unbelievably confusing. A team that is locked in with a core of guys in their prime who might not even be a playoff team. What are you doing? I don't know. So we're going to talk about the guys on this team. This episode is going to be the players 25 or older. The next episode is going to be the guys under 25. Relatively even split in terms of how many guys are available there. But it is a very strange roster. And they're in the spot now where we saw the results of the draft lottery. They unashamedly tanked at the end of the season. They told us they were going to unashamedly tank in preseason. And we hope that we get some Jakob Poeltl-like transparency at Media Day in September 2025 as well, so we know exactly what to make of this squad. It is National Aperitif Day. So, get your aperitif. So, what's your favorite aperitif? Mine is just vermouth, ice, lemon. Goated. It's called, I think it's French martini. Well, when we went to France a couple of years ago. Yeah, side note. Had aperitifs and said martini. Go, we'll try that. And we had to go, this isn't really a martini, but it's not, traditional martini is 2.5 gin, half vermouth, or whatever ratio you want to use, right? But a French martini is just ice, white vermouth, dry vermouth, and lemon, or olive. And that's it. There's no gin, there's no vodka, there's no nothing, okay? Go to aperitif. If you want more bartending tips, drop them in the comments down below. Liquor legend over here. Yeah, I am. Yep, you know what? I am. Let's talk Raptors. Let's talk about a bit of an overview of the season and the upcoming off-season as well. As we look at how the team played out. Look, they had a 30-52 record, and obviously that, for the way the team is and how they behaved at the end of the season, they still won a lot of games because they had the most insanely, ridiculously easy schedule, and they were trying to lose them, but they couldn't. This is probably more of a 37-win team, but that's still not good enough to be a playoff squad. They could have been up there, in that elite areas of the Miami Heat and Chicago Bulls or Atlanta Hawks. 30-52 was their final record. They end up getting pick 9 in the NBA draft lottery. In my lottery mock that I did the other day, that was me selecting Noah Essengay for that pick. Who knows what they would do there? Because you look at their team and the way that it's currently structured, in the starting lineup and how it looks, there's no opening. There's no we've got a huge hole here. Like there's a guy like Jakob Poeltl who's 30 years old at census, and maybe you want a replacement for Jakob. Don't know. But they don't actually need a point guard. They don't actually need maybe they do need a shooting guard. Although they've got Dick, and he's not going to start. And they drafted Walter last year. They've got Ingram. They've got Barrett. They've got Barnes. They've got Poeltl. I don't know what they need. So I chose Essengay. They've also got pick number 39 in the second round of the draft, and that is all they got. No other draft picks coming their way. But if we look at their free agency, well, it's also relatively weird because there's just not that many ways that they're going to change their roster. They don't have key players leaving. They don't have many guys that are even out of contract. There's only 2 guys who are unrestricted free agents. Chris Boucher and Garrett Temple. And when I tell you, chat, that they are the only players out of contract, I'm not lying. It's Boucher, 32-year-old, out of favour, not in the rotation. Don't know that he comes back, probably retires, not sure why anyone would want him. Garrett Temple, literally 39 years old. Not sure why he's been on this roster for the last 2 years. Doesn't play until we get to tank season. That's it. They're their two spots, which I imagine they'll go, and then you'll get the two rookies come into that area. Or the thing they've got is 3 players on non-guaranteed deals, and any of these guys could easily be cut, I guess, to create other options. One of them is Jamison Battle, who started out last season as a two-way guy and was signed. He's got $978,000 guaranteed on his deal. He probably will stay around. The other two are Colin Castleton, who was a Raptor twice during the season. 2 10 days and then left and then went to Philadelphia and then came back and signed a contract with a non-guarantee for this next year. And then AJ Lawson, another two-way guy who was converted, he's got a $0 guarantee, fully non-guaranteed contract. So they could all be waived. Castleton, Lawson, Boucher and Temple could all be gone. I'd expect Battle stays. Giving them 4 roster spots, plus they've got 1 open two-way slot, so they take someone at 9, they take someone at 39, and we see what else they do. Not a lot of flexibility unless they're making trades, and I would expect the guys that are more likely to be traded than not on this team are Barrett and Poeltl. But, again, there's just a ton of uncertainty about what on earth this team is, what on earth they're trying to do, what they think is their ceiling with this squad, because they've obviously doubled down on it. They brought in Brandon Ingram in a trade, he never played for them, they extended him. They brought in RJ Barrett last season. They brought in Immanuel Quickley last season, extended him. I don't really know what they think they're doing. I don't know what they think the ceiling of this team is. That's an interesting thing, because I know there's going to be Raptors fans watching this and hating and go, you just hate everybody, trust in Masai. You shouldn't trust in Masai. And the reason why you shouldn't trust in Masai, while he has been goated in the past, after you won the title in 2019, it's been questionable move after questionable move after questionable move. And it's okay to question somebody when they make decisions which aren't in line with their previously high standards. It has not been a good run. And I still, honestly, I think I sat here last year the same time and said, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know what they're trying to do. Are they trying to be bad? Are they trying to be good? Because they're not trying to be bad with this roster, but they're not good enough to be good. Like, I don't really get it. Everyone's on second contracts. No one of the high-level guys is on rookie deals. So there's no financial flexibility. So I don't really know what they're trying to do. And that is not a good spot to be as an NBA team where it's very easy from the outside to say the plan's not clear because we might be too stupid. Very possible, right? Very possible that I'm too stupid and that anyone else is too stupid to understand the plan. But when you keep looking at it and figuring out, like, I'm not sure you know the plan and it's backed up by, I'm not sure evidence, but it seems to be because Masai basically admitted, hey, I didn't want to do the thing that made my team better by trading away players like Anunoby or Siakam or Van Vliet because of too many emotional attachments, and it made my team worse. And you go, well, what are you trying to do? What is the idea? What are you trying to build here? Like memories, good feelings, and that's okay. You can build memories, you can build those things, but now where are we? Who is on this team now? I'm going to say nobody. Who is on this team now that was a part of the 2019 title? It's no one, yeah? Boucher. Unless I'm just missing somebody else. Everyone's gone now. Jeez, that's crazy. Anyway, here we are, starting the big 2025 with the Toronto Raptors. That's our free agency spots. We'll come back and start talking about these players in a sec. We've got Immanuel Quickley, Poeltl, the ghost that is Brandon Ingram. But today's episode, it is brought to you by Wayfair. Summer. For all of you guys in Canada and the US, it's coming up. It's not there. It's not there yet. We're almost there. The weather is warming up. People are spending more time outside, which means it's a perfect time to refresh your outdoor space. And Wayfair has everything that you need to make it feel more like you. Wayfair has a massive selection of outdoor essentials to make it easy to give it your outdoor space, whether it's a big backyard, it might be a small patio, it might be a tiny veranda in a townhouse. Whatever it is, Wayfair has all the things at your budget price to refresh that area and make the summer a great time for entertaining. Grab that new patio dining set. Patio is such a weird word. Patio, ratio. They're spelt the same with a different first letter, but pronounced differently. But that's okay because English is weird. Some string lights you can get from Wayfair as well. Vary it up out in the backyard as well. They've got a mix of styles, a mix of things for different budgets, a mix of looks so you can design what you want in your outdoor space or honestly anywhere in your house with Wayfair. So shop a huge selection of outdoor furniture online. This summer, get outside with Wayfair. Head to wayfair.com right now. That is WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style and every home. We're back here on the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast. We're talking about the Toronto Raptors, and we're looking at their age 25 and over players and their 24-25 season and what it means and how they produce and how we can guess what's going to happen as we move forward. And that means we have to talk about Brandon Ingram, who played exactly 0 minutes for the Raptors because he hurt his ankle in December and then just never played again. Now, I am not someone, ever, and I'm not starting today, I'm never someone to call somebody soft. I will not do that because I've suffered injuries, pain levels, functionality is different for every player, and there are things that are often beyond the player in terms of whether they play or not. It is just frustrating that Brandon Ingram suffers an injury. We don't hear a diagnosis fully. We don't hear a grade on it. We hear whispers of teammates saying, bro, can you actually come back and play? What is going on? And then he doesn't. Multiple times. Now, was this ankle injury so severe that he couldn't have played? Absolutely not. And I can't obviously be 100% on that because I'm not there. I'm not in his body to feel that. But I'm very certain, had he not been playing for the Pelicans and then the Raptors, he would have played. And they kept edging us at the end of the season, telling us, oh, he's practicing, he might come back. He was never coming back. It served their purpose for him not to come back. He signed his contract. He wasn't there. So I'm not going to blame him for that not playing in the last month or so of the season. But what it means is for us, as we move forward, as this team is locked in, they don't have flexibility. And they're going to be where they are now. Like, Ingram has to slot in, and that's a weird fit. It's just a weird fit. Brandon Ingram is not an off-ball player. He needs the ball in his hands, and he's one of those guys that you can say, well, how can you tell me that a 22, what the average? 22, 5.5, and 5. You can't tell me that's a bad player. I can. Because those numbers are fine, but people have to put up numbers. But when Brandon Ingram is put in a position where he puts up those numbers, it means detrimental effects for the team around him. He needs to be a guy that can play low usage, off ball, but he can't. He's bad at it. So how does that work with RJ Barrett, who also needs to have the ball? How does that work with Scotty Barnes, who can play a little bit more off ball, but can't shoot? How does it work with Immanuel Quickley, who's the point guard on this team and the best passer, and probably the best shooter? It doesn't make any sense. So Ingram did shoot 37% from 3. Like, his 3-point shooting was fine. He was good from the line. 22, 5, and 5 is not terrible. He actually ended the season as the 40th ranked player in Durant head-to-head. He was 33 minutes, but he played 18 games. He also had 29 usage, which he just should not have that much. The advanced stats did not like what they saw from him, and I think largely there's an injury part of that. The Darko and Drip dropped him down a lot, 6th percentile delta for Darko. His offensive load is huge. His time on ball is pretty big. He's improved a lot as a passer, and we give him credit for that. He's an instinctive passer, but he's improved a lot. Defensively, he still struggles a lot. The problem here is, will he get the opportunity with Barnes and Quickley on the team to generate 5 assists a game, to have the passing volume that high? Will he have the opportunity with Barnes and Barrett and Quickley to be the guy that's 94th in offensive load with a 29 usage? Why would we want that? Why do we want him to have that level of offensive responsibility? Now, there are going to be players in and out of lineups, and having guys that can step up, and he can clearly, into those roles is key. But like, if players are injured and Ingram then has to step back into a larger role, the team's going nowhere anyway. So what is the point of it all? And that is part of the criticism. I don't know what the point of it is. You can say getting good players is good. Sure. Sort of. Like, sort of. Because they need to make sense together. And this, to me, early on, things could change with other moves, but it very much smells a lot like a lot like the Kings signing DeMar DeRozan and go, well, he's the best signing in Kings free agent history. We're getting good players. Why aren't we better? Well, you're not better because you're worse, because the player makes no sense. And that is a little bit how I feel here. So I won't be touching Ingram in the top 50. Not a single chance in the world. This year, I was down on him. I had him at like 90, I think. And his ADP was in the 70s. And I got it wrong, obviously, in terms of per game numbers because he was way better. But also, those numbers that he put up were with Zion out. And now he goes to a team where what is he, a 24 usage player? Does he score 20 points a game? Does he get 5 assists? I'd be very surprised. Early thoughts from me is going to be a fade again. Low steals, low blocks, lower usage, lower assists. The injury risk, the weirdness of the fit. I just think it's going to be. I think it's going to be bad, and I don't really understand it. I understand more about this man, Jakob Poeltl, who we thought would be in for a pretty good season. He didn't really have any competition for centre minutes. We worried a little bit about his statements of, hey, we're not going to try to win every game. He's 30 now, but he played 30 minutes. I would have liked more than that. He was the 65th ranked player in head-to-head and 62nd in points. He averaged 14 and 10 with 1.2 blocks and 1.2 steals. His value comes from hitting 63% from the field. You would hope you can get 1.6 blocks out of him, but we didn't get that. But a 15 and 10 double-double with over a steal, over a block on 60+% is really useful. He sort of hovered. He didn't really improve much according to the advanced stats or decline. He's sort of in that middle range. His rim contest numbers are good. I think they should be better. He was better. He used to be one of the top 5 defenders in the NBA, I thought. That has fallen away. He is 30. He's a limited skills big man. Don't think he's terrible, but he's a limited skills big man who is 30, and we've seen a decline in block rate and contest rate. I would throw it out there that this season from Jakob Poeltl is probably the best he ever has. That's not controversial. I know that. They could end up trading him. Maybe they see a guy like Immanuel Quickley and draft him at pick 8 if he's available, which I think would be an interesting one. And I keep hearing on a few draft podcasts, and haven't actually looked into this much myself, about the issue with Immanuel and his visa. And the fact that South Sudanese citizens, which is what he is, are having visas cancelled. And who knows what that means in terms of his availability. But if he was to go and play in Canada, while the obviously US government doesn't instruct what the Canadian government does in terms of visas, his ability to go back and forth from Canada and the US, that might be quite difficult. Because if he was drafted to a US team and was in a situation where the visa exemption, whatever, he could actually just stay in the US, not travel to Canada and have to worry about whether he was getting back in. He could just miss the games in Toronto. But that is probably, and obviously there's a lot of unknowns with all that sort of stuff, but that might be a reason that Toronto doesn't go that way. Maybe it's Derek Queen or something like that. But I guess if you were to find a hole, I'm talking about Poeltl here, obviously. That was Malawak. I'm talking about Poeltl, but that's the obvious spot if you're in the draft. Maybe with a 30-year-old Jakob Poeltl and a backup that is John Mobo. Like, you want to get another center, maybe. So, I think there is a chance that Poeltl can be a 30-minute-a-night player again, because there isn't anyone on this team who is stepping up to be a huge threat, even though it could be Mobo, who is probably more suited to be a power forward than a center. The numbers we got from Poeltl, the efficiency, the blocks, I think they might start to come down a little bit. And we could be in a situation where he's back to 28 minutes or he's traded. So you might get one more like this for Poeltl. You might get one more. The decline phase will begin. And that is the pressure point on the roster, I think, where there is a potential for an upgrade. Or not even an upgrade, but a temporary, it's not even temporary, more of a plan for the future because he's older than other guys. That's a more accurate way of phrasing that. Let's talk about Immanuel Quickley, who was someone that I did quite like heading into the season. I thought that he'd be able to maybe nudge 20 points a game, maybe get 6 or 7 assists a game, and be a solid-ish top 50 player. And it never happened. I would say most of you know the reasons why. Or, again, I can't tell you that's the reason why because it didn't play out. My presumed reasons why. He entered into the season, first preseason game, he hurt his thumb. All right, so barely played in the preseason. Came in, played the first regular season game, went up, landed incredibly hard on his pelvis and missed, I think, about a month. Came back after that month, got injured again. In the end, he played 33 games and played 28 minutes. So part of my, I think he can be a 20-7 player was based on him playing 35 minutes a night as the starting point guard. In the end, he got to 17-6. He only averaged 0.7 steals. That's really bad. His defensive numbers are really quite bad. He shot 38 from 3. That's a W. 87 from the line. W. Field goal percentage at 42. Not ideal. He ended up as the 109th ranked player and 93rd in points leagues. He had a 24 usage. Okay. He was 90th after the trade deadline. All right, we're getting there. The Darko didn't like his production, 35th in Delta, which I'm not sure about that one, but 97th percentile on ball, 95th percentile offensive load, 97th percentile passing creation volume. I bring those numbers up to say this. We now have to incorporate Brandon Ingram into this role. They both can't be the guys with the ball in their hands with that usage. So does Ingram's 29 usage come to 24? Does Quickley go to 21? Does Quickley's passing drop? Does Ingram's passing drop? Do they both drop by little bits and pieces? So I was very much like, I think Quickley's going to be a real stealer next year in drafts because people are so annoyed by his season. They're calling him soft left, right, and center. I think, okay, give him 5 more minutes and we are getting 20 and 6, 20 and 6.5, 20 and 7. Maybe get to a steal, maybe. Shoot good threes, great free throws. But now, when you've got to try and fit whatever it is that Ingram does into this lineup, maybe he plays those minutes, but he averages only 18.5 points in 33 minutes. And he averages only 6 assists instead of 7. And he doesn't get to the line as much because he doesn't have the ball. Now, if it was me, this is who I'd want to have the ball and not Ingram. I think he's a better player than Brandon Ingram. I think he's a better player, he's a better shooter, he's a better threat with the ball in his hands. He's a better passer. But that doesn't always go that way, does it? So I think we're at a little bit of a crossroads here. He's a similar age to Brandon Ingram. We just don't know how it works. But one thing I know about Quickley, I very heavily presume that he's not going to play 33 games and 28 minutes. He played the last full season in New York, all 82 games. Again, injuries and health cannot be guaranteed, cannot be relied upon. You can't do it. So people would look at this and go, he's soft now, he doesn't play ever. Okay, well, he also just played 82 games not long ago, 2 years ago. So I think that is going up. I think the minutes will go up, the games will go up, and they'll be on track. The problem is, which I'm just going to keep saying, the problem is Ingram. How does it work together? We've got a few more guys that we do need to get into in this under or over 25 section of the team. We're talking Toronto Raptors here, of course, and their 24-25 season recap. So that was Immanuel Quickley, who, again, is a player I like, but it didn't reach the levels that I wanted it to. This is a player I do not like. I think he's an overrated player, but I will give you this. I thought Ochai Agbaji improved quite a bit this season. Now, he's one of those guys that when he is shooting really, really well, it's very easy to go, see, he's good. All right? That is true. He just doesn't do anything to me. He shot 40% from 3 over the course of the season. That's great. He had been one of the NBA's worst shooters over his first 2 years in the league. You'll note that this is year 3 coming up for Agbaji, and he's already over 25. He is old. He averaged 10 points with 4 rebounds. He played 27 minutes a game, and 10 and 4 with 0.9 steals in 27 minutes is actually very bad. 14 usage. So he turned into like a defensive 3-and-D guy. He hit 1.6 threes. He blocked half a shot, which is not bad, but 187th in Durant. You'll notice he was 176th before the deadline. Quickly returned. Second half of the year, 245th. Didn't do it for me. I still don't think that he's very good. I don't think that anybody in any dynasty format should be expecting any sort of breakout coming for Ochai Agbaji. Actually, that is his 3rd year or his 4th year? Might be his 4th year, actually. Oh, sorry. This is his 4th year coming up. I don't think anybody should be super excited about Ochai Agbaji as a guy that's going to improve. I think we saw him settle in there and get that, what is my role in the NBA as we move forward? And so that was his 3rd year, sorry. He's heading into year 4. It was the most minutes he's played by far. He played 27 a game the year before. He played 21 the year before. He played 21. By far his best shooting season, which brings his career numbers up to 35% from 3. But overall, it's just a low usage player who's not a high level defensive stat guy. He has never had a season over 16 usage in the NBA, and the best season he had was his rookie year at 16. I just don't know what he does. So, given again the strength of that starting 5, the fact that you're going to have Dick and Mobo and Shed all coming off the bench, like is Agbaji the 8th man, the 9th man? There's the 9th overall pick coming in here as well. I would have zero faith in Agbaji in year 4 becoming better than this, playing more than this, or doing more than this. He improved. Without question, Agbaji improved. He went from a 29% three-point shooter to a 40% three-point shooter. And honestly, he shot 36% as a rookie. He's probably a 36 to 37% three-point shooter. That's what he does. Is the volume that elite? Not really. Like, it's okay. It's not ridiculous. It's pretty good. Like, for example, and we should use these numbers a lot more, which we don't, the adjusted shooting numbers on Basketball Reference, he had a 112 three-point attempt rate plus, which if you don't know what that means, 100 is league average. A 112 means 12% better than league average, just like an OPS plus in baseball or a WRC plus in baseball. So his three-point attempt rate was 112. His three-point percentage was 111 plus. So 11% better than league average. Okay, that's good. But you're not doing it at enough volume, and you're not doing enough other things to make anything viable here as a long-term player. Let's talk about one of those unrestricted free agents now, a guy that in the past has really had fantasy managers in a chokehold, fantasy analysts in a chokehold. One of those guys, but look at the per minute numbers, and that's great. But he's been so bad in so many different ways that he's never really been able to achieve those numbers, and that's Chris Boucher, the wiki. He is 32 now. If you're waiting for a breakout, it's not coming. 20 usage. He averaged 17 minutes a game and played 50 games. He was the 238th ranked player for head-to-head leagues. He still averaged 10 and 4. But those block numbers, which would be so elite, they're done. He doesn't do it anymore. And part of the reason why he didn't get minutes in those early parts of his career is he would just chase blocks and make stupid mistakes. Now, he just doesn't get blocks anymore. Look at that rim contest percentile. 60th percentile. Bro just doesn't contest shots anymore. He doesn't go for deflections. He doesn't play on ball at all, although his usage was decently high. He never passes. Interestingly, DPM and Drip thought that there was some improvement in his overall impact. I'm not sure that I agree with that. He shot 36% from 3, 49 from the field. 366th post deadline, they didn't play. They sort of just kept him out of the rotation. I know he's Canadian. I know he's been a part of this team winning a championship with them. He's been around for a long time. I think it's over for Chris Boucher. I don't know why a team would want to bring him in, unless the Raptors are bringing him in there to play the Garrett Temple cheerleader role, which is possible. Which will just bring me on to talking about Garrett Temple, because if Garrett Temple was Canadian or had a long history with the Raptors, I'd understand them keeping him around just because he's there. Because he's not there to play. He played 8 minutes a game with 13 usage. He averaged 1.9 points and shot 30% from the field, including 21% from 3. He is an absolutely legendary bloke. One of the best teammates that's going around. But why is Toronto leaning into that? Surely they can't afford both Boucher and Temple on the roster. And yeah, having veterans and leadership is important, and we see James Johnson in Indiana with that role. We see that across many different teams. Udonis Haslem had that role in Miami for a very long time. Taj Gibson's had it in many stops. But I think we might be past the need for a Garrett Temple to play. I don't really even need to go through these stats. He doesn't play. He gets dusted off in March and April when they're tanking. He goes out there, he plays a few minutes, and then we're done. We don't need much more of that. The other guy who had a couple of big games this season, who is someone that I'm assuming many of you have never heard of, Jared Rhoden. Now, he is on a two-way deal, still be on a two-way deal next season. He had a few little games down the end, but this is one of the teams that had to play that two-way dance more than almost anybody. He only ended up with 14 games. He played 16 minutes, and when he was sort of moving into a role, they were in a stage where they had to be pretty limited in terms of how much they could play, and then there was an injury, went back to the G League. He had 8 and 3, which is not bad, 31% from 3, it's okay. He was 342nd in Durant, and then post-deadline, 216th. There was some improvements over the year, over the season compared to where he'd been, but overall, this is a 26-year-old going to be on the second year of a two-way contract who didn't shoot all that well, who showed some ability but 1 assist in 16 minutes. What is he? What do you... No offense to Jared Rhoden, but what do you even do here? What is your role? Your role was to fill out minutes on a tanking team, and he'll be back again next season and be one of those guys that's behind a Baji, behind Quickley, behind Shed, behind Dick, behind a draft pick and sitting there behind Walter and realistically not doing anything. Why would he be? His final outing of the season, he had, 23 points with 7 rebounds and 4 assists on 60% three-point shooting. He had a couple of those big games throughout the year, but overall, he's just a player that we saw a little bit from him in Detroit the previous season, or 2 years in Detroit, actually. So that was his 3rd season, and now we're heading into his 4th year on that two-way still. And I don't think there's anything there. Honestly, a couple of little moments in basketball games that didn't mean anything. He is older. There was no real standout number here from Jared Rhoden. So overall, while we had to talk about him at times for fantasy, I don't think we need to talk about him anymore. And that is me ending up talking about the Toronto Raptors and their 25 and older players. We're going to be back later on today to talk about the younger guys, including Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl, Grade A Dick, RJ Barrett, and more. In the meantime, if you subscribe, you won't miss the episode. You'll know when it comes out. You leave comments down below and we can interact about how much we all categorically hate Canada. Apart from a certain area of Canada which I like. I'm not going to tell you. You got to guess. What city do I like in Canada? The rest of you, you're all shit house. Terrible. One place I like. And if you're from there, well done. You're actually one of the good ones. Guys, we are jokes. We are done here. I don't like any of you. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya. Canada.